Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Inside the Designer's Studio. My name is Veronica Diaz, and my dear co-host is Elliot Goldman. And today we have a very special guest. But before I introduce her, let me remind you to please like and subscribe to the channel. Give us your feedback. We're going to try to have all kind of designers and personalities from the audio industry for you. All right, Elliot, why don't you introduce our special guest?
Our guest today is Liz Smith. She is the Vice President and Event Director for the Exponent Show. Hi, Liz.
Hey, Elliot. Hi, Veronica.
We realize that Liz is not a designer, but with Exponent beginning next week and been missing for a couple of years, which is kind of sad due to COVID, we wanted to bring Liz on and talk about the show and hopefully give you some insight about what Exponent is and what's going to happen there. So, Veronica.
Yeah. Well, Liz, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the show? How did you get involved with the audio show?
So I'm the event director for Exponent. So I'm responsible really for like running the show on a day-to-day basis and strategic direction of it. But I got involved with it because my whole career has been with trade shows and with events. I started with the company I work for, JD Events, which owns and operates Exponent right out of college. And so I've really developed this career with events. I love events. I love learning about new industries all the time. I'm really just kind of one of those lifelong curious learner people, and I love music. So when we acquired Exponent and added it into the JD Events family, I was really excited that I was assigned to this show and have really just been learning and growing, growing with it and really working on it ever since. So that's been since 2014.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, how difficult was it to make it through the pandemic for Exponent?
It was definitely a challenge. It was a challenge for, all live events, because with the pandemic, we couldn't hold them. And especially for Exponent, we were scheduled for April 2020. And so it was, it was postponed right at the beginning of everything going on, when everyone was trying to figure out what the pandemic was, what it meant. Everyone was home. And we couldn't hold the show for 3 years. I mean, it's now April 22, and we're gonna be holding the show for the first time in 3 years. And it's definitely been a challenge with us being a business focused on live events, and you can't have live events. So we've been, engaging in our customers in our community online, but also really just waiting and, working towards the show that's happening next week.
Are there going to be any limitations for the visitors and exhibitors at the show at all?
No, there's not going to be. So just recently, since the beginning of March, the county where Exponent takes place has lifted their mask mandate. So we're following their guidelines, which really are masks are recommended but not required. No vaccination requirements. So, I think you attend and really follow whatever protocols are best for you. And we're just asking everyone to do those personal health checks before coming, because if you feel sick, the best thing you can do is stay home and not get anyone else sick.
Right.
Right. So what do you think Exponent is so popular?
I mean, I think it's popular because it's fun. I mean, if you love music, it's a fun show to go to. And I think, with this hobby, with this industry, it's so exciting to be able to see all these brands, all these manufacturers, all these members of the industry in one place. And I think for the consumers who this is their hobby, this is what they love, it's just such a great opportunity to listen and compare so many systems and see what's brand new. Because if you depending on where you live in the country, you might not have access to go, visit certain dealers or go to many audio shows. So I don't really mean many audio shows, but you might not have access to see these different systems near your home. So it's a great chance to see so much all in one place.
Do you think, Liz, that Exponent will expand this concept maybe to other places in the U.S. in the future?
It's something that we often consider and have been, and honestly have been asked to do, but for the moment we're really focused on staying in the Chicago area and being this premier event that takes place one time a year, and serving the industry that way.
Okay, good.
And what is your favorite part of your participation in the Exponent show and your position there?
I really I think with my role with really, pulling the event together and doing the marketing, I think some of my favorite things I do are some of like the special events. Like I love putting together the concerts. I love figuring out who we're going to have as our special guest each year. And I kind of dig into like the details of like how that's going to go and like coordinating stuff. And so I kind of like that. I think that kind of brings out the, childlike event planner that I think I always was.
So who are the special events this year?
So Friday night we have Toronzo Cannon, which is he's a blues artist from Chicago. So that's our blues night. And Saturday night we have Lori Lieberman, and she's going to be performing with a jazz quartet and singing some songs from her new album.
That's great. How many rooms and brands are you going to have this year?
So this year we have over 130 rooms. When I last looked, I think it was 138, and over 500 brands.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
How do you think an audio show can expand the visibility of the audio industry?
I mean, I think it supports the industry by being a way for, anyone who's curious or loves music to kind of try this out. Like it's so, it's a chance to experience those systems in person. And I think, having that ability to spend a day and kind of learn, I think really helps. And I think also with audio shows, like we're in Chicago, but other ones around the country are like in major metropolitan areas. I think it's a chance to kind of like reach beyond our our normal audiophile community and have consumers come in and learn.
What in your opinion would you say are the things that need to change to make the audio industry grow?
That's something that I think about all the time. And I think when I first started working on this show, and even now, I think I have an advantage because I'm not an audiophile, and I admit that, but I think that's an advantage for me running this show because I'm trying to make this show appeal to the broader public, and so I think that really helps. And I think some of it comes down to how we talk about the industry, like making it accessible, and maybe some of the new, the rebranding, because when I talk to my friends, when I talk to my peers and I explain what we do and what it means and how the music that you listen to can sound so much better, they get it and they get excited. And, a lot of, I love going to concerts. Like my friends and I, we go to normally we go to concerts all the time. I'll go to 30 plus a year. And, when you kind of explain that it can sound like that in your home, they get it and they get excited. And I think it's a little bit of changing some of our, some of our messaging, kind of changing how we talk about it. And honestly, I mean, as a marketer, sometimes I think that our brands could probably update a little on how they even talk about, how they message. I think kind of making it a little more contemporary, and also using new channels, working with, different influencers, using other brand ambassadors to help us get the word out and help us educate the public.
I totally agree. I mean, it's one of the reasons that I like doing Exponent is the fact that it's a much more, I hate this word, but I'm going to use it anyway, a diverse crowd. It's not just people that are into audio. There were families and kids and young and old and men and women. And I think that, first of all, I think that's great. I think that it's really less about the gear in some ways and more about celebrating the music. And if people celebrate the music, then they'll appreciate the gear. So
True.
Exactly. It's cyclical. I totally get it. That's a great way of wording it.
Tell us about the other members of the Exponent team, Mark, you, Joel.
Rachel. Okay, so Mark is really my partner in crime on the Exponent team from a day-to-day basis. He handles exhibit sales. So he's the one who's really speaking to the audio industry on a daily basis. So he and I work really, really closely together on the show. Other team members, Joel Davis is our, president of CEO of JD Events. So he, he'll be at the show, but he really runs the company overall. Who else do we have? Our exhibitors definitely know Lou. He's our head of operations. So he always says he's like Disneyland. He makes the show happen. So, so he's the one really running around behind the scenes, making sure everything is ready for our exhibitors and solving problems and making stuff happen. Who else do we have? Those are our core team members. Like we have other folks that come out, like Jenna Beth heads up registration. So she'll be there greeting all of our attendees. And we actually have some brand new employees who will be at the show for the first time. So, so they'll be there learning and getting to know everybody.
So what would you say your goals and expectations for Exponent for the future are?
The future is we really, want to get back on, the momentum that we had going, coming into 2020. So our goals are for the show to grow again. Like I said, this year we're at 138 rooms, that should increase again in the future. I also want to do a lot more similar to like what we were talking about. Every single year I'm working on how we can make the audience, more diverse, keep growing the number of like younger attendees who are at the show. Like every single year I see kind of like those demographics skew a little younger every single year. So I work towards that. And I'm also, we also really want to be a place where the industry comes together and meets and does business. So how we can also serve the industry better as like that meeting place every year.
I wanted to know if you have anything else that you would like to say to our audience about the show and about going there.
I mean, I think really the final thing is like, we're just excited to be back. Like I said, it's been 3 years. I think there's a lot of enthusiasm coming into the show. Attendees are so excited. So, we really appreciate the support of the industry and that everyone's going to be there in a week.
Much success in the show.
That was really great.
Yes.
We've emailed and stuff. It's the first time I've actually spoken to you face to face. I hope I run into you at the show. And
be there.
Everyone, let's have a great show. Let's be safe. Let's have a lot of fun. It's time for the industry to gather and party again. And really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for inviting me with this. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us in this episode 4 of Inside the Designer Studio. Thank you, Liz. It was very good having you here. I want to invite everybody to attend Exponent and to keep this industry going and booming. See you next time. Thank you, Elliot.
Thank you.